Hello, everybody. We're back again. Me, Susan. You, Jane. Andrea. We just wanted to talk about something that's been on our minds and that's been happening in the XUW community. And that is addressing some of the forms of activism and some of the disunity that is going on. And it's not something we really want to draw attention to, but sometimes there's really it's the elephant in the room. So let's just talk about it. You know?
We don't usually shy away from controversy in general, though, so.
Head on, baby. But one thing that you thought was interesting was the whole JW.org will see this as a sign that, oh, look at these people, that there's no unity within them, and they're all trying to, get to the top and promote themselves, and the problems that they have is just a sign that they're clearly not, people to be reckoned with. But what you had an interesting point about that.
Yes, in looking at the organization, the unity it appears to have is actually an illusion. They are actually not united. It's that everybody is afraid to ask questions or to think differently. You cannot express it because if you do, you get booted out, basically. And I was giving the example when Susan and I were talking about doing this video. I said, it reminds me, I remember, when the congregations had to take votes on something, and that was a legal matter. They would have to, if they were going to have an expenditure of money or do something, they'd have to get a vote from the congregation. And it was known that if they were going to be suggesting something, you were just supposed to go yes. Now, not everybody did. And I don't know if any of you remember that. What would happen when somebody voted no? Well, Susan has a first-hand experience. She can tell you what happened with that.
Yeah, when I was still in the congregation, my mom and dad were there, and my dad was an elder, and they were voting on whether or not they were going to purchase a property to build a new Kingdom Hall and then move our Kingdom Hall congregation to that one. And my mom and dad didn't agree with it, and they didn't put their hands up. Well, my dad was hauled into the back. The other elders apparently said to him that he was an embarrassment to the body of elders and that they should show a sign of unity. And he's like, but I don't agree with it. I mean, why are you asking for a show of hands if it's all just a facade? Which is what it really was, wasn't it? Yeah. Put up your hand, and if you don't put up your hand, they'll haul you into the back. So why are you asking? Well, they had to do it because it was a legal reason. But the bottom line is there was no unity there, was there? It's all fake.
Yeah, you weren't supposed to dissent. I remember in a congregation where this happened, and I wish I could remember exactly what happened, but there was a brother put his hand up, and he actually did ask really good questions, and they were valid, and he was making a lot of sense, but he was very much opposed to what it was they were going to do, and I just remember everybody looking at him like, oh, how dare you? If the elders, everyone thinks we should be doing this, why are you asking these questions? It got really tense and uncomfortable in there. So the unity they appear to have is all based off of fear-mongering, fear, and all the high control group tactics. So they're not really unified when you get right down to it. Then when people start leaving the religion and become ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, suddenly a person is learning how to think for themselves, how to do research, how to ask questions. And everyone then starts being able to form their own opinions on things, look into something, decide what they like. Their whole life is suddenly opening up. And then it just ends up basically that you have a whole community of people that are all just like any kind of group or any kind of neighborhood or community. Everyone's got a different opinion. Everybody looks at things differently. One person may have deeply researched one thing, so that's what they believe. The other person could have deeply researched another particular area and they have a knowledge of something, they believe that. And
that's good.
That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. And the other issue I've really observed, especially watching some of the arguing and just different things that have gone on that's upsetting a lot of people, is that you, as a witness, you don't really learn how to have dialogue. You don't learn how to actually listen to people. You only listen, as a non-witness friend gave this great line once. She said, they're listening for ammunition, not comprehension. Thought that was a great line. So you have to, when you're leaving the religion, you have to learn how to talk to people. You have to learn how to listen. And the other thing is that a lot of people get tied up in, if someone doesn't believe me, what I'm saying, and they don't have the same belief system, it's like an attack on you as a person, and somehow you have to prove that you're right, and your own insecurities come up. But why don't they believe me? And you have to go all out proving everything and making them see it your way. Well, I'm going to use Susan and I as an example. While yes, there's we have similarities in our personality, which are what drew us to be friends, and we're more like sisters, I would say, more like family. But we don't agree on everything. But do we get into fights over it? Oh, absolutely not. You know, we have there's some things we really agree on. There's other things we don't. And that can come from that she's done research on something and has studied something and I just don't know about it and I never considered it, and vice versa. I may have done things. So we just have a conversation. She's like, okay, well, why do you believe that? She asked me all kinds of questions. And by the end of the conversation, that doesn't mean she believes what I say and that she suddenly has changed what she believes. She's just like, oh, okay. And maybe she will or maybe she won't, just like me with her. And it's okay. Like, you are allowed to not agree with people and think identically like them. We don't want to do that. So it's actually what you're perceiving as being a bad thing. Don't make it worse. It's okay.
You can't grow as a person if you don't change your mind on things, or
Right.
or at least think about the other side and allow your mind to reason on why you believe as you do, or why you don't believe, or why she believes. I mean, the bottom line is there's nothing wrong with disagreeing with people, and people change their minds. When I first came out of the JW org, I had different ideas, and I'm so glad that I was able to grow from then. I've learned things in life. And it's things that make sense to me, you know, and what makes sense to me now, I might change and think something different 5 minutes from now, even.
Yeah, and I do,
right? We're women. We're allowed to change our minds.
No. She's being sarcastic. No, it's true. We're allowed to think differently, and that's the same thing. I always say, I'm allowed to change my mind, and I will do it 5 minutes later on something if someone proves to me or shows me something. And that's how I've been able to learn a lot of things. And I've still got a lot of ex-JW friends, like people that I've reconnected with from my very distant past, and we're on completely different pages of viewpoints of life, and I tend to be more of one of those conspiracy theory people within balance. I tend to be more like that. Susan's not. I have other friends that are totally not into any of that kind of thing, and other ones that we have a grand old time discussing all the possibilities. And it's okay. Like, I love them and they love me and we listen to each other. We're good. It's fine.
So like, there's all kinds of activism out there, and I know some people feel that they don't like, you know, the cart crashes or the Kingdom Hall crashes, and I can understand that. But keep in mind, when you are talking to witnesses, like for example at a cart, they'll say, you're attacking us. As soon as and I've seen these videos where people have been speaking to them and they're just asking questions. And the person will say to them, you're attacking me. And it's like, they're doing nothing of the sort. They're simply asking questions that they're not comfortable answering. Right. And they'll immediately say, well, you're attacking them. But the bottom line is the whole history of JW.org is to picket. Right? That's what they used to do.
It started. Religion is a snare and a racket, and we agree with you.
And they were
Turn
very
it around
much.
And look at it.
They were exactly. They were very much attacking other religions back then, and they always have.
They still are.
They just don't like it when you turn the mirror around and say, "Ha ha."
We'd like to ask you those same questions back.
Yeah. But so they're not favorable to all this, and I get it, because they're used to winning arguments. They want to be the one to find the easy prey, basically. You know, that they know that when people like us that have learned all about their ways, we can't unsee what we know is there now, right? So we're a lost cause to them. So they just want to find someone who just lost her husband in death, or someone who's just moved to a new area and doesn't know anybody. They're easy victims who don't know anything else and don't have any friends, or who have mental problems, and they want to bring these ones in and count them as more numbers to their fold. And then when they meet people like us, they just want to walk away. But you know what? That's a good thing. I mean, I've watched some of these videos that I think Dwayne MacArthur is one of them.
Just start watching his.
Who's in Souk, which is an area that's a very small community, not far from where I spent many of my years as a JW in British Columbia. And these witnesses, they're actually saying, you leave us alone. And he's like, you're here to talk religion. I'm here to talk religion. What's the problem? And then they end up walking away and leaving. And there's not many places for them to go in a small community like Souk. So he says, I don't really see them out anymore. And with them not really being, I mean, I don't have anyone call on my door, and I'm not a do not call. I've been more than kind to witnesses who've come to my door 5 years ago when they last called.
Right.
So I don't get, what form of witnessing are they going to be doing then? If they're not going to be doing cart witnessing, they don't seem to be doing a lot of door-to-door work. What are they doing? And if we're chasing them off the streets, and I don't mean physically, obviously. I'm not talking about getting angry.
No violence, no.
But it is a good thing.
Yeah.
It is a good thing. And the other thing, of course, is the kingdom halls. If people are going into kingdom halls, crashing the halls, and if it causes them to raise their security and become more cult-like, how is this going to be to somebody who is interested? Let's say there is a person attending for the first time, and they go to the Kingdom Hall and they see all this increased security, and they see people looking at you up and down like, is this person legit, or are they just an apostate, here to cause trouble, or here to raise questions and make us look like idiots?
Right.
That's not going to be very welcoming. And
Not at all.
people already think they're cult-like, and they already have wondered because there's no windows in these kingdom halls, and they've, wondering what's going on. And then now they're being looked at funny, and they see this increased security. It's only going to raise, it's going to make it harder for people to want to join this cult.
It is.
It
is.
So I'm happy to see that happening.
Yeah.
But there's a few things you wanted to say.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Kingdom Hall crashing. There probably are some keys. I want to talk about. Zeb will not mind us giving. Zeb won't mind us using him as an example. Zeb will even. You would even seen on his post. He does a variety of different ways in halls. Like everything from he would put up his hand and comment. It would take them a few minutes to realize what he was saying. That's actually that's actually peaceful. I didn't view that as aggressive or active. That's kind of funny, I guess, because I'm kind of a louder person, but that was different. And then there's some things where he didn't always like the way he handled some of it, but he'd admitted it. Like he's posted it for the public,
We're just imperfect, right?
Yeah. I mean, and things are going to trigger you, but the point is doing whatever you can do in whatever way. But there are some key points to it. I would say observing some of the videos, one of the important things to do if you are going to do Kingdom Hall crashing, you want to go for maximum effect. That's obviously what you want to do. So it is imperative you do not make outrageous statements that whatever you say is entirely factual and can be Googled and verified really easily. And people, like old timers, most of them are not going to be waking up. Not that some won't. I think I was telling you about this one woman. She was in her 70s and she'd suddenly I think she'd heard about the Australia Royal Commission and some other things. She started doing research and she's like, oh my goodness. And she left. And I loved her post because she's in another country, I guess somewhere had an ocean view. And she said she'd sit out on her deck now with the morning breezes, enjoying her cup of coffee, and she'd watch them all way down below there with their carts. And so she left. It was clear to her. So it's not that a lot of older people wouldn't leave, but statistically, it won't be that many. But the young people who have what we never had back in the day with technology, we didn't have smartphones and Google, and the internet didn't have as much information on it. So we didn't have that advantage, but the young people do. Anyone can Google in secret. So if you're going to do Kingdom Hall crashing, it's really important to use buzzwords and keywords that they can easily locate the information. It was really powerful, the ones that did the group effort in Warwick, that with the women standing up. I was like, that was phenomenal. If any of you haven't seen that video, watching that, people standing up and sharing their own experience of what they went through. Nothing can top that. That was phenomenal. But it's not for everybody. But here's the thing, just because you personally don't want to go do that and aren't comfortable with it, that's okay. But then also you don't want to necessarily come down on other people for doing it, because no matter what you do, everybody is going to wake up in a different way. Like I want to say something about even like a protesting. Every one of us can probably remember at conventions outside, the apostates would come and would be picketing. Pretty much every convention I would go to, they would be there. To this day, I was haunted by someone who'd been in our congregation, a young woman, and I remember seeing her there outside the facility, screaming, jumping up and down and screaming. And I remember looking at her thinking, what happened to her? And again, that was another person I heard later she'd had suffered some sexual abuse, and I've never seen her in any of the forums, and I always worried about her. So even back then, when I was pioneering and about to go to Bethel, I never forgot that. So even though some of you might say, well, being aggressive, it's going to put people in more. Well, it didn't. I wasn't ready to wake up then, but I never forgot that. And it always bothered me because watching her, I knew there was much more to the story. And I've had other people tell me that too, that other people they heard that were saying, I was abused by an elder, and they say they never forgot those things. So you can't discount something that years later there's not going to be impact. And right now things aren't measurable, but the organization's changed. I think you wanted to talk about that, right?
Well, I just want to say, I wanted to say one thing is that, and activism like this has woken up people from other cults. Like there's a Mormon, I joined the ex-Mormon community for a little while because I just wanted to see how the way they thought. And it was quite fascinating that there was at least one person I know that woke up from watching protests outside kingdom halls. They woke up from Mormonism because they'd always been taught that they had the true religion. And when people, ex-Mormons, picketed outside their temples, whatever they call temples, I think, that this was a sign from Satan. And it just strengthened their faith in their own religion, which is what people will say, why it's wrong to picket outside kingdom halls for that same reason. But the bottom line is he woke up from watching the picketing outside kingdom halls. He woke up from his cult. So, hey, if we're able to wake up Mormons in the process, great. Or any other cult, who sees this and they think, hey, well, why is Satan then using XJW? This doesn't make any sense because they don't have any value on Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't think anything of this religion at all, and vice versa. Right. So you are waking up other people, which I think is fantastic. But what was your question?
Just that the organization has changed. If you go now, depending how long ago since you've left, but those of us that have been gone like at least a decade or maybe like a little bit more, it is unrecognizable now. Like they've changed terminology. I mean, everything has changed. So it's important to get creative with activism. And I want to say too, I gotta use Zeb again because it was a direct thing. Someone I know who has very much struggled in a lot of ways got very inspired watching his videos, and she really did not want to crash the way. At this time, she wasn't ready to do that, but she felt very empowered by it. So that person, what they did was they were like stalking a cart or something, or someone who was street witnessing. And every person that the people talked to, I think the person was doing street witnessing, it wasn't a cart. Every person they talked to, they would very quietly go catch up to the person and talk to them. And even their child joined them, who'd never been a witness, but was so excited. We're like, hey, can we do that again? So she ended up getting in these incredible conversations with people they didn't know. Like she gave all the key buzzwords to them and explained how things really are. And they were so grateful, but it was funny. All of them were like, yeah, we weren't really interested and couldn't get rid of him anyway. And we always thought it was a crazy religion. So nobody was interested anyway, but they were but they were surprised by the things that were said. So that is something that there's a good way of doing something very discreetly if that's an issue. Yeah,
and I think the bottom line is if you are going to go into a kingdom hall or talk to a cart person, you have to realize that you don't have a lot of time. I mean, these microphones get shut if you are going to talk into a microphone. If you're putting up your hand to give a comment and then you want to, you've got like 20 seconds. So really focus on what you want to say to get that point across quickly, because that's about as long as you have, about 20 seconds.
Yeah, if that anymore.
To make your point before they start. I mean, they seem to be very quick now to usher people out, because the more videos I see lately, society is definitely clamped down.
Sent, obviously, the letters and pictures and things have gone out.
But now they're just becoming more cult-like, and visitors are going to see this, and that's a good thing. Because they're really showing their true colors now. I mean, I can understand why ex-JWs want to do this, because we've all sort of been quiet for so long, eh? We've just been sitting around putting up with all this nonsense.
I did.
And watching it for years. I mean, I've been out since 2000. I was quiet for 15 of those years.
You were quiet?
Somewhat.
Wait, your husband here? He's gonna fight.
But like quiet about the JWs
and nothing else.
But and I think we're just tired of them always having the last say. They shun you, and then they can say whatever they want about you to continue to besmirch your name. And we couldn't say anything because we didn't have a hearing ear. Well, now, thanks to social media and thanks to what's happening, there's different ways to reach them, and we're trying those ways. And we're tired of just sitting around and waiting for our families to keep getting older and dying while we just sit around and do nothing about it. Yeah. And they're actually telling their members that we are shunning them, which is the most ridiculous lie.
Yeah, I never lied like that when I was in the organization. That's an outright lie. Yeah. I never did that.
So we're saying, no, you are shunning us, and we're going to say it out loud, and we're going to garner some attention, and we're going to make a big stink, because people need to know the truth about this. We're tired of you guys having the final say, and it's working. And it is unifying our community to a point. But like we said, there's no such thing as true unity, because we're all going to have different opinions.
Yeah, that would actually be a sign that you were moving from one cult into the next.
Yeah, you're nuts.
So that's what the whole part of the point of this is, that it's actually a good sign that there's just appearing disunity. Yeah. It just means people are finding their voice and are expressing their own opinions and are establishing their own personal belief system. That's great.
And there's no way in the XJW community to get rid of people who are weird. Let's face it, there's always going to be some weirdos, right? Like JW.org, if you're an elder and you start asking the wrong questions, you're going to be booted out. Yeah. As I was actually, not just elders, anybody who asks the wrong questions gets the old boot.
That's true. Right.
If you start doing anything they don't like, silence you and out you go. Whereas in the XJW community, there are going to be some people with mental problems. There will be some people who've been abused who are seriously in need of help. And we're not going to get rid of these people. We're not just going to callously throw them out. And there will be people, we don't know what their agendas always are. They could be Jehovah's Witnesses. And there's people that, some of the worst people I've ever encountered in this activism that I do are the JW apologists that preface their comments with, well, I'm not a JW, but, and they start saying the most nasty things to me. And it's like, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it probably is a duck. So go back to your cult, and bring it on. Like, I don't need this nonsense in my life right now. I'm just here to help people. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to
watch the videos, or don't, whatever.
Yeah, it makes no difference to me, right? Yeah. I'm not looking for anything. And this one more thing I want to make about this is, one more point is about that there's weirdos everywhere. Like, I'm part of a piano. It's called Playground Sessions. It's if you want to learn piano, fantastic group.
You could put that link in there too if they want to learn.
Well, I'm trying to learn piano because I just really like it. Yeah. And I joined this group. It's fantastic. They're in Facebook, and we have fun. And the people are the sweetest, and there's very encouraging. We're being encouraged to post our videos. And pretty much nobody posts their face. We don't. Who cares? We just want to see how you're playing, and we're helping each other. I've never even posted a video because I'm scared. I'm not very good. And then I'm still kind of nervous. But whenever I have said, I got 93% on this song, and I'm all happy, and people are like, yeah. Well, can you believe this one older chap starts going on about how people are egotistical, we're trying to promote ourselves, and he went off in this massive rant. And I read it and I thought, I never got that opinion from anybody. I just thought we're all just a very helpful, kind community. And anyways, about 100 people came in saying, oh, we're sorry you feel this way. I never felt that way. I thought people we're all just encouraging each other. And anyways, all this to say that even in a piano community, which is not religious, which is not political, which is not a hot topic of any kind, you're going to find weirdos who come up with weird agendas.
There's weirdos everywhere.
Who accuse people of the same things we're being accused of in the XJW community, right? Yeah. So just to say that, don't mind, you're going to find these kinds of people everywhere. And we don't have a way to get rid of them in the XJW community.
So just don't engage, though. It's important not to engage. And understand too, just because you don't like one thing doesn't mean it's not going to help somebody else. We are actually really fortunate to have a fantastic variety of different types of activists. There are great websites out there, great blogs, videos. You have a variety. And there's some you're going to like. Maybe you don't like the person personally. Maybe you just don't care for them, but maybe they got great content. It doesn't matter. Just don't engage with all the crap and just take the pieces of information that you need. Don't get arguing with people about it, but learn how to actually have a kind conversation. You can disagree with somebody and still do it in a really kind way. I observed that in a non-JW related thing, because I have certain feelings on certain health matters. I'll leave it at that. And I was reading in some thread, I'm like, whoa, some of these people, this is going to get really ugly. And I was stunned, really stunned, because the people that completely disagreed, they so respectfully and kindly spoke back and forth to each other. We're talking polar opposite opinions on a hot controversial topic. And I'm like, wow. And the person that I totally didn't agree with, they were being so respectful. I'm like, I like you. I completely disagree with you, but I like you as a person. So I think that's important. You need to look at different people's look through somebody else's eyes. And I want to, do you mind if I bring up something controversial? Is that well, we already kind of are, but I want to go a little.
We can always cut it out.
We can always cut. There's going to be this big gap, this burr, this air in this video. Okay, I just want to very briefly talk about Russia, very briefly, because I want to try to help, because I see very equally both sides of that whole thing. And I saw
Russia? What is you mean
the ban, the Russian ban?
Oh, the Russian ban.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, no, we're not talking about Trump. No,
Trump.
no. Please,
Okay.
Please,
Okay, which
I'm in Canada right now. I don't want to talk about
hockey.
Trump. Hockey. Okay, I want to use that because that's kind of a classic example. Somebody, let's say you've got an ex-witness who was sexually molested by an elder, didn't get help from any of the other elders. They covered it up. Maybe there was multiple people involved. Okay, so that person's perspective is going to be the organization is dangerous. And they're right. But that person's perspective is going to be that this organization shatters lives and does all this, lifelong damage that's going to take a lot of work to navigate through. So that's that person's perspective. So another person, though, who hasn't had any of those things happen, has had maybe they just maybe don't agree with the religion, but they've never personally been affected. Maybe they haven't even been shunned because maybe their whole family left. Or maybe they were the only person in the religion, everybody else was out. So they've never experienced shunning. They're going to have a totally different perspective. So they're going to not want it. And then you've got some of the other ones of us are looking at, again, I see both sides. I will say it right now, so no one can get mad on either side. I see both sides equally. And then I'm looking at the bigger picture of the whole political climate and what's the real motivation behind it. And, so that's a whole other angle on it. But I'm just saying, it's very important that you look at that other person and don't dismiss their experience. And they're going to look at things from different angles and through different sets of eyes. So if everyone can just kind of be more kind and understanding with people, you can have a dialogue where you completely disagree, but you can end the thread as continuing to be friends or gaining a friend. You don't have to agree with everybody. Get comfortable with that. It's okay. I have tons of friends I totally disagree with and they disagree with me, but we have tremendous respect for each other and that's what's important. So try to put that in and don't get fighting with people. It's really not pleasant. It's very draining.
No. And to me, I find there's a lot of great things happening in our world. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, folks.
It is. I find JW
Get excited.
appears to be somewhat imploding. At least that's the impression I'm getting. And I'm
They're
very
doing stupid things. Like, yay, keep it up.
Everything they do seems to be crazy, and crazier all the time. And and now we've got, I don't know if you've heard, but Leah Remini now in her third season is going to be doing her very first show about other cults, and it's specializing in JW.org.
For at least one episode.
At least one episode will focus on
We're
them.
suspecting they're going to do more after they start opening it up. Just like how they didn't realize the Scientology one was really going to take off. I kind of feel that's going to happen
I
here.
think so too. But I'm beyond thrilled about that because the more attention given to this to show people the insanity that goes on, the better. And I just find activism is evolving. You know, so what with this car crashing? Maybe we don't have to do it very long if they don't come out anymore.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it. How about another thing? You don't have to do it. Whatever you want to do is fine.
Yeah, and there's other and maybe something else will come along and we can try that. I mean, we're learning from each other and we're going to make mistakes and we're going to say sometimes stupid things that we wish we could take back. Yeah. But we're just
it's okay. It's
right?
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
So
and there's a lot to be said for all the common sense, just keeping things factual and that's really good to do that too, because that appeals to some people. But again, everyone has totally different belief systems. You've got everything from people that are atheists to people that are very Christian to people that have switched over to more Buddhism even, everything. There's all kinds of people. And I will also tell you, there are tons of ex-witnesses that have entirely different belief systems that do not want anything to do with the XJW community because they've moved on, or some that are in hiding. So there's a lot of people you haven't heard from. That's Yeah,
And, and good for them. They're all in a different place sometimes. And sometimes
are.
something triggers that they do want to get involved.
Yeah.
You know, because it never seems to really leave you. No matter who you are,
No.
what
And
your
some people
experience.
can't take it. Some people, it's just they had too many things have happened, and they just have to completely block it off and move on. And we
that's fine,
understand
too.
that. We
That's fine, too.
don't expect everybody to do videos or be any kind of activist.
Most of the people I grew up with, I will say, who are now out of the organization, are not involved in any form of XJW community at all.
Yeah,
And so there's
I think the
lot
majority
of
I know
people
aren't too.
There's a lot, of people,
Yeah.
because we belong to a group in Facebook of people that we grew up with. And I think we're pretty much the only two that are involved. And there's 20 other people at least. They're all we were all teenagers together in the organization, and now we're all in our 20s.
Yeah, we're still in our 20s now.
And
Plus.
and none of them are involved, and most of them don't even want to talk about it. But sometimes it gets brought up, and then everyone has got something to say.
Yeah.
But they don't want to be involved, and that's fine.
It doesn't matter.
We don't care.
There's no judgment.
Yeah.
It's whatever people want to do.
Anyways,
Yeah. Okay.
I think
I
we're
think
good?
we're good. I think we covered
we've got it
everything
off our
else.
chest.
And if there's any more to add, we will.
You'll be hearing from us.
You'll be hearing from us. You've not seen The Last of Us yet.
All right, everybody, we're going to sign off for now. Okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, everyone, for all that you're doing. We appreciate it. We love you.
We love you too.
Even you weirdos.
Bye.
Bye.